Hi, in this video, we'll do a demo walkthrough of how to set up and use unmanaged external sources. And if you're not familiar with the concept, an unmanaged external source is a source type that you can set up in DataForge to point to tables that DataForge does not actually manage. So if you've got tables that you set up and are refreshing yourself within Databricks, etc., you can hook up DataForge to actually look at those tables, build relations from those tables to your DataForge sources, and then enrich your DataForge sources using that data and metadata. So if we get started with our example, within our DataForge workspace, the first thing that we're actually going to do is open Databricks. I just want to give you an example of what my table looks like for this video. So if we go to our catalog, and then if we go to Unity stage, the catalog, we go to the default database or schema, and then we see this fee structure table. So you can see that it's a pretty simple table. It's got two columns. It's got market segment and fee percent. If we look at our sample data, we'll get our serverless computes set up and running here. And once this is available, we'll be able to see the sample data. Okay, perfect. So we can see that again, it's a really simple table. There's essentially 5 market segments that we have. And then for each market segment, there's a fee percentage. And so what we want to do is, even though this table is completely set up outside of DataForge, I'm refreshing this with external data. What we're going to do is build a relation to this table within one of our DataForge sources. So if we go back to our workspace, and then specifically this TPCH customer source is the one that I'm going to be working with. And so if I go to my raw schema, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, again, multiple columns, each record essentially representing one customer. And within each customer, there is a market segment field. And this is what I'm actually going to use to build my relation between that unmanaged source and this source here to enrich this, this data set. So if we get started, we'll go to our sources and we'll start creating a new source. And we'll just call this unmanaged fee structure. It'll be for a demo. And then for processing type, we'll leave batch. And connection type, we'll switch this to unmanaged external. And we note here that really the only setting that we're setting up is our table name to start. So we'll want to grab the fully qualified hub table name so DataForge knows exactly where to actually go look at this new table. So if I go back to Databricks, I'll copy out that 3-part name in here so we can see the catalog, the schema, and the table name. And then we've got it hooked up on a schedule currently. I'm going to leave this. And the idea with the schedule for an unmanaged external source is that DataForge only knows what fields are in the schema of this table when it actually goes to look at the table. So if we leave it on the schedule, we're essentially saying just refresh the schema in case any new fields come in or fields change so that we can continue working with those fields. And you can do the same thing with manual data pulls if you didn't want it to actually run on a schedule or if you knew that your table was really never going to change. Now the last parameter that I'm going to set up here within the capture data changes is I'm going to set key columns for this table so that DataForge knows when I'm building my relations, what should the cardinality actually be. So if we look at our table, we're going to use this market segment as the key. Okay, and then we're going to save the source settings. Now, if we go to our inputs, the first input will always be kicked off for you for an unmanaged external source. And then, like I said, beyond that first input, it's up to you whether you want to refresh it with manual data or manual pulls or set it up on a schedule. But once this first input is actually created and that ingestion is complete, which you can see it's now successful, now we can go to our raw schema and we can actually see those fields or those columns within that external table that we can work with within DataForge. What we'll do is we'll go to our sources and we'll open that TPCH customer source. And we're going to build a new relation. And so we'll just call it customer market segment fee structure. So we're essentially joining customer and fee structure, building a relation between the two of them using that market segment field. So we'll select our related source here, and you're going to build your relations and rules just like you would between any two other DataForge sources. So we'll use the same syntax of this. Then we'll grab the join field here, and then we'll do the same for the related. And now we'll save that relation, and then we should be able to see the cardinality. And again, because I set those key columns, I can actually set this, one cardinality on the unmanaged side of the relation. So now what I can do is actually start building some rules. So if we go to a new rule, and we'll just say, total fees is going to be our rule name. And then we'll say this, and it's going to be our account balance times the fee percent from that unmanaged table. Okay, and we can see that relation that we created in use here. So we'll save this rule. And now what we'll do is recalculate this source. And so now every time new data comes into this TPCH customer, when we get to the enrichment process, DataForge will actually look at this rule, realize, hey, it's referencing an unmanaged external source. And so then it's actually going to look at the data from that unmanaged source to actually enrich this TPCH customer source. So again, the main things here are that the unmanaged external sources, they're an extremely powerful tool that, you're not limited on the number of unmanaged sources you can hook up to, but it really opens up the realm of possibilities of what you can build on your DataForge sources without having to actually manage or store that external data within DataForge. So hopefully this helps. Thanks.